Welcome to this explainer. We are heading straight into the magnificent Seoul World Cup Stadium for the 5th annual Coupang Play Series match. It's the K-League All-Stars taking on Manchester City, and I am absolutely thrilled to unpack this one with you. We're looking at a fascinating clash of football cultures, some really intriguing tactical experiments, and just an incredible showcase of athletic talent. Whether you're laser-focused on how City is shaping up under their new management, or you're a die-hard follower of South Korea's top flight, there is a ton of great stuff to pull away from this August 5th fixture, so let's get right into it.
Now picture stepping into a literal furnace. 34. That is 34 degrees Celsius, which is right around 93 degrees Fahrenheit. And that was the temperature right at kickoff. It was absolutely sweltering out there, immediately setting this incredibly grueling physical stage for the match. When you're dealing with extreme heat like that, honestly, it stops being just about tactics. It becomes this massive test of endurance, completely changing how a manager has to approach rotations and how players have to aggressively manage their energy over the full 90 minutes.
Section 1. Setting the Seoul stage.
Okay, so where were these two squads mentally and physically coming into this? For Manchester City, this was just their second game under new manager Enzo Maresca. They were looking to bounce back, right? Having just drawn against Inter Milan in Hong Kong 4 days prior. And waiting for them was a seriously hungry 24-man K-League squad meticulously put together by coach Chung Jung-young. Make no mistake, the K-League brought some serious firepower to this showcase. Chung assembled this really eclectic mix of elite homegrown stars and heavy-hitting foreign-born players. We're talking familiar faces like former Swansea and Newcastle midfielder Ki Sung-yueng, bringing that veteran Premier League grit. Plus, they rolled out the 2025 K-League MVP Lee Dong-gyeong alongside the lethal 2024 scoring champion Stefan Mugosa and that commanding Jordanian World Cup defender Yazan Al-Arab. For these guys, this wasn't just a friendly, it was a prime opportunity to prove themselves against the world's absolute best.
Section 2. Lineups and missing stars.
Before we get to the starters, we've got to talk about who wasn't there. Managing workloads in a World Cup year is massive, and those absences heavily influence the dynamic of this match. Enzo Maresca was missing two of the absolute most dominant forces in world football. First, you have Erling Haaland, who was resting up after a deep tournament run where he smashed in 7 goals for Norway. And right alongside him, Rodri was completely absent too, taking a much-needed break after an exhausting summer captaining Spain to a World Cup title and snagging the golden ball as the tournament's top player. On top of that, exciting young winger Rayan Ait-Nouri was sidelined with a minor shoulder injury. That's just the reality of preseason. You have to sacrifice some star power to manage that physical toll.
But hey, City fans still got to watch a phenomenal, stacked lineup. The defense? Incredibly robust. Ruben Dias returned to wear the captain's armband alongside Josko Gvardiol. The midfield was anchored by Mateo Kovacic and Tijjani Reijnders, who were busy feeding a seriously dangerous front line of Antoine Semenyo, Phil Foden, and Divin Mubama. Plus, they had returning guys like Mateus Nunes and Omar Marmoush ready to go on the bench. So even against the K-League's best, this was still a Champions League caliber roster stepping onto the pitch.
Section 3. A frantic first half.
Now, if you thought the heat would slow things down to a walking pace, the first 25 minutes completely threw that out the window. It was absolute chaos, in the best way possible. In just over 20 minutes, the net bulged 4 times. At the 9-minute mark, Rayan Ait-Nouri struck first, perfectly finishing a Reijnders cross on his weaker right foot. But the K-League, they struck right back. Literally 3 minutes later, Kim Dae-won unloads this powerful shot from the edge of the area, miraculously nutmegs Ruben Dias, screens the keeper, and suddenly we have a shocking equalizer. But that parity? Yeah, it didn't last long. A quick-fire double put City firmly back in the driver's seat. At 20 minutes, Reijnders drills a gorgeous first-time finish into the far bottom corner, and just 3 minutes after that, Divin Mubama taps in a rebound off a blistering shot from Antoine Semenyo.
After that wild flurry of goals, City was just in total control. Frankly, they almost made it 4 or 5 before the halftime whistle even blew. At the 30-minute mark, Mubama somehow completely whiffs on this superb defense-splitting low cross from Semenyo. And then, deep into first-half stoppage time, Phil Foden brilliantly takes the ball on the half-turn, completely beats his man, but then blazes a shot straight over the bar. So despite the score sitting at 3-1, City was just routinely carving through that K-League defense.
Section 4. Second half substitutions.
All right, after a high-octane 45 minutes in that blazing 34-degree heat, both managers had to aggressively rotate their squads. Protecting players is always priority number 1 in preseason, which turns the second half into an entirely new tactical puzzle. Maresca didn't hesitate. He introduced a massive wave of fresh legs. He brought on Omar Marmoush, Semenyo, Mateus Nunes, and Claudio Echeverri just to maintain their grip on the game. Meanwhile, the All-Stars countered with deep experience. They brought on veteran Ki Sung-yueng to stabilize the midfield and threw on Montenegrin striker Stefan Mugosa. And as a quick reminder of his pedigree, Mugosa is the guy who famously scored a hat-trick against Romania in the UEFA Nations League. So the board was totally reset with a new cast of characters.
You'd think all that fresh attacking talent would mean more goals, right? Well, the second half actually remained completely scoreless. The K-League put together a really resilient, determined push, trying to scrape their way back into the match. But City's goalkeeper, Gianluigi Donnarumma, he was rarely troubled. And a huge reason for that was Captain Ruben Diaz. He just masterfully marshaled that defense, absorbed all the pressure, and expertly dictated the tempo to seal what ended up being a subdued yet incredibly comfortable 3-1 victory for Manchester City.
Section 5. Match Analysis and Takeaways.
Okay, so it's easy to look at a 3-1 preseason win and just kind of shrug it off. But this match actually offered some major clues about the broader season. Looking past the final score, we have to ask the critical question: what did we actually learn today? What did this preseason proving ground reveal about Enzo Maresca's tactical evolution? Because let's be real, taking over from Pep Guardiola is arguably the hardest job in world football. Everyone is watching like a hawk to see how Maresca is going to tweak, adjust, or totally overhaul City's established systems.
First off, Antoine Semenyo, absolute masterclass. He was the undisputed star of the show. The guy was a terror down the right flank and was intimately involved in all 3 City goals, setting up Reijnders and forcing the initial save that led to Mubama's tap-in. Secondly, we saw Maresca take a real tactical gamble, and it paid off brilliantly. He pushed Rayan Ait-Nouri into a highly advanced, almost wingback role, giving him total license to attack aggressively in the final third. And guess what? That exact tweak in the system is what resulted in Ait-Nouri netting the opening goal.
On the flip side, the K-League All-Stars proved they are a force driven by immense pride and serious tactical discipline. They totally lived up to this pre-match promise from their coach, Chung Jung-young, who flat out said they would apply hard pressing and refuse to back down defensively. You could see it out there. Players like the 2025 MVP Lee Dong-gyeong were so eager to test themselves against these European giants. And honestly, for large stretches of that frantic first half, they matched Manchester City's intensity blow for blow.
So what comes next? Well, this win gives City some crucial positive momentum as they prepare to stay right there in Seoul. On August 9th, they're facing another massive Coupang Play Series test, this time against Atletico Madrid. This is a highly anticipated rematch of their 2023 sellout fixture, and believe me, it is going to be a much sterner defensive test for Maresca's new tactical setups.
Like K-League striker Stefan Mugosa perfectly summed up, it really is a privilege to play in this kind of game. It was an invaluable cultural event and just a massive celebration of global football for the host country. But I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder. Semenyo's blistering pace and Ait-Nouri's advanced positioning looked absolutely brilliant against the K-League All-Stars in the summer heat. But will Maresca's new tactical gambles hold up against the ruthless, unforgiving defensive elite of Europe when the real season actually begins? I guess we'll find out soon enough.